Bible Archaeology Timeline.
The Bronze Age.
Before the invention of coins, precious metals were weighed as currency. 60 shekels was a mina, and 60 minas was a talent. The shekel weight dates back to 3000 BC and was used by Abraham to buy Sarah's tomb in Genesis 23. A hoard of stamped silver dating to 1200 BC was found in Megiddo, Israel, in the 1930s. The pim, roughly 2/3 of a Hebrew shekel, is mentioned in 1 Samuel 13:21, and was first discovered in Israel in 1907. The bika, or half shekel, was the temple tax of Exodus 38:26. It wasn't discovered until 2013. The first real coin won't be minted until the Iron Age in 650 BC. In 1962, a hoard of giant copper spearheads dating between 3000 and 2000 BC, as well as 800 copper plates for a giant suit of armor, were found in Kfar Manash, Israel. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, Genesis 6:4. The triad of Menkaure, son of Khufu, who built the Great Pyramid in Egypt, depicts the gnome Sesheshet and the cow goddess Hathor, who was worshipped by the Hebrews in Exodus 32:4. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." The pyramids were constructed 150 years after the Tower of Babel. The Sumerian king list mentions the Great Flood, Kish or Cush, the grandson of Noah, and Gilgamesh or Nimrod from the Bible. Like the patriarchs in Genesis, the Sumerian kings have long lifespans of hundreds and even thousands of years. The Sumerian flood tablet is the earliest reference to the Great Flood from Genesis 6. Lugalbanda in the mountain cave mentions Babylon and Aratta, or Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark came to rest. Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta describes an epic confrontation between Enmerkar, king of Babylon, who the Bible calls Nimrod, and the Lord of Aratta, or Ararat, who some have identified with Noah. Sinai 1:1-5 is a description at the bottom of an obelisk, which reads 6 Levantines, Hebrews of Bethel, the beloved. Some believe it was inscribed by Joseph's son, Manasseh, under his Egyptian name, Hebeded. Jabin Tablet. A descendant of Jabin was defeated by Deborah and Barak in the Book of Judges. Canaanite Star Pendant. God warns Israel not to worship the sun, moon, and stars like the Canaanites. And when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshiping things the Lord your God has apportioned to all the nations under heaven. Deuteronomy 4:19. The Berlin pedestal identifies Israel as one of the nations in the Levant, along with Ashkelon and Canaan, indicating an early exodus from Egypt in 1446 BC. Thutmoses III scarabs dating to 1481 to 1425 BC were found in Israel, possibly brought there by the Hebrew slaves. Exodus 12:36. The Lord had made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people, and they gave them what they asked for, so they plundered the Egyptians. 1250 BC. Ipuwer Papyrus describes a series of cataclysmic events in Egypt, including the Nile turning to blood. Exodus 7:20. Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded. In the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, he lifted up the staff and struck the water in the Nile, and all the water in the Nile turned into blood. Moses inscription on a stone slab which reads, "Our bound servitude had lingered." Moses then provoked astonishment. It is the year of astonishment because of the lady. The lady is the Egyptian goddess Hathor, depicted as a horned cow on the triad of Menkaure. Amarna letter EA290 reads, "From Abdi Heba, mayor of Jerusalem, to King Pharaoh. They are now attempting to take Jerusalem. Pharaoh has placed his name in Jerusalem forever. He cannot abandon the land of Jerusalem. Gezer, Ashkelon, Lachish have given oil, food, and supplies to the Haberu, or the Hebrews." This coincides with the conquest of Israel under Joshua and the Judges. 1400 to 1200 BC, collared jars begin to appear in Canaan wherever Israel conquers the land. The curse tablet at Joshua's altar on Mount Ebal. When the Lord your God has brought you into the land you are entering to possess, you are to proclaim on Mount Gerizim the blessings, and on Mount Ebal the curses. Deuteronomy 11:29. The Soleb inscription is the first reference to Yahweh, the God of Israel, outside of the Bible. The Ugaritic tablet is one of the earliest alphabetic languages along with Hebrew and Phoenician. Ugaritic alphabet, possibly used to teach the alphabet to children. 1200 BC, Baal epic refers to deities such as El, Asherah, Baal, or Baal, and Dagon, previously known only from the Bible and a handful of other texts. Clay pomegranate, found in Shiloh, Israel, was used as a religious decoration. Exodus 28:34-35. The gold bells and the pomegranates are to alternate around the hem of the robe. Aaron must wear it when he ministers. 1100 BC, Jerubbaal inscription. Jerubbaal was a nickname for Gideon in Judges 6:32. So because Gideon broke down Baal's altar, they gave him the name Jerubbaal that day, saying, "Let Baal contend with him." And that brings us to the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the
Iron Age.